The walking excavator is what we use to traverse and stabilize and mow the canals in the various locations. It's a very specialized piece of equipment with a specialized skill set for the operators. They were originally designed to operate on the side of mountains, but there's been uses to find them and to be used within swamps and canals. Its main role is to traverse into the canal to remove the sediment that's been washed away from the banks and into the bottom of the canal and reestablish that onto the banks. We got to bring the wet dirt from the bottom, set it on top, let it dry a little bit, and then it gets repacked into the banks to recontour and also to open up the capacity of the canal. Once that is complete, then we come back and either by the time frame of the job starting to stopping, either Mother Nature has started to grow grass back through. If that is not the case, then we will actually order sod to be laid down to help ensure that the dirt that's been repacked stays in place.
In a world where loyal companions await, one place stands as their beacon of hope. The Pet Resource Center of Hillsborough County, where you can adopt your very own superhero. Adopt a dog, find your sidekick, and unlock the power of unconditional love. Suit up, show up, and adopt today. For more information, visit hcfl.gov/pets.
morning. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning. I want to welcome you to the August 25th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. My name is Susan Finch, and I'll be presiding as the hearing officer over today's cases. Let me start by introducing Ms. Colleen Marshall. She's with the Development Services Department. She'll introduce other staff that will participate in today's hearing, as well as go over any off-the-agenda changes. Ms. Marshall.
Good morning. Colleen Marshall, Development Services. To my left is Johanna Lundgren, Hillsborough County Attorney's Office. To my right is Carmen Mason, Development Services staff. During the course of the hearing, a number of other staff planners will be presenting their findings for various cases, will be introduced for each item. We have one change to the published agenda. Item J1 will be moved to the beginning of the agenda due to a family matter that has come up.
All right, thank you so much. Let me start by going over our procedures for today's hearing. Our hearing today consists of agenda items that require a public hearing by a land use hearing officer. I'll conduct a hearing on each agenda item and will file a decision within 15 business days following today's hearing. Our hearing today is informal. I'll ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony. I may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate, and I will decide all questions of procedure. I'll take evidence, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence must be presented in written form, and all testimony must be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding by me unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil action. Our order of presentation today is as follows. For variances, the beginning of the hearing, the Development Services Department will make a brief introduction and also present their staff findings for a period of 5 minutes. The applicant then goes next. The applicant has 15 minutes to make their presentation. Next up, proponents, anyone who would like to speak in favor of an application, total time 15 minutes. Same is true next when we go to opponents, anyone who would like to speak against an application. Everyone combined 15 minutes. We'll then circle back to the Development Services Department to see if they have any comments or changes in their findings based on today's testimony. And then last, the applicant has the last word for 5 minutes for rebuttal testimony. We have the bulk of the items today are either variances in the beginning or special uses in the end. That presentation order is the same, except for special uses, the applicant goes first, and then the Development Services staff goes. All right, let me now, I don't think we'll have this issue, but I'll go over it. So if anyone wants to speak in favor or against an application, remember I said 15 minutes both sides. What we'll do is if there is someone that or a number of people that want to speak, I'll ask for a show of hands when we get to that portion of the hearing, and we will divide that 15 minutes as equally as we can to make sure everyone has a chance to speak. If you're in the room or if you're participating virtually, when it is your time to speak, if you could always start by giving us your name and address for the record. We are recording this hearing, and we want to make sure we have your information correct. If you are in the room and you're done at the podium with your comments, if you could see Allison. Allison, raise your hand. She's with the clerk's office. She is keeping a log. So when you're done, if you could go see her, sign in with your name, address, and the case number to which you spoke. That is also where you can submit any documents you'd like to be a part of the record. You give them to the clerk's office, and then we all have it as a part of the county file. So now let me turn to Ms. Lundgren. She's with the county attorney's office, and she will provide you the legal requirements for appealing a decision made by the land use hearing officer. Ms. Lundgren.
Yes, this is pertinent to the first item on the agenda, J1. Wanted to basically briefly go over the applicable standard of review for an appeal of a decision of the administrator, as well as what the record on appeal is limited to. For an appeal of an administrative decision, the standard of the land use hearing officer's review of the appeal is limited to whether the decision of the administrator was made in error. section 10.05.01 of the LDC. Under section 10.05.01 of the LDC as well, the record on appeal shall consist only of the following: the application and any other information submitted by the applicant to the administrator, and the written decision of the administrator and any documents attached thereto.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, all testimony must be under oath. So if you plan to speak today, if you could please stand, raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat. All right, as Ms. Marshall mentioned, we had a request that the last item, the appeal, the last item on the agenda, be heard first due to a family issue, so I've agreed to do that. So we'll call that case first, and then the rest of the agenda will proceed in order. Ms. Marshall.
First item, J1, Appeal 250666. The appellant is Regency Center, LP. The appellant is appealing the administrator's decision in DNC 250350 concerning nonconforming characteristic of land review status of 2400 to 2578 West Brandon Boulevard in Brandon, and identified as tax folio number 68172.0102. The nonconforming characteristic of the land review decision was dated March 4th, 2025. The subject appeal was submitted on April 2nd, 2025, and therefore was timely filed pursuant to LDC Section 10.05.01C1. The request for nonconforming characteristic of land sought to verify that the property was grandfathered from the provisions of LDC Section 60606 and was legally nonconforming as is in relation to PD 83-0404, condition number 13, that required all dumpsters and mechanical equipment to be screened from public view. Legal nonconforming characteristic of land status was not approved for the unenclosed dumpsters and recycling collection spaces. While staff agrees that the subject property was subject to condition 13 of the original PD at the time the property was developed in 1984, staff found no evidence that demonstrated that the unenclosed dumpsters and recycling collection spaces were legally established. Staff determined that the subject property is required to comply with the solid waste receptacle and mechanical equipment screening requirements of condition 13 within PD 83-0404 that were in effect at the time the buildings were constructed between 1984 and 1986.
All right, thank you. I understand the applicant is virtual. If you give us your name and address and your presentation, please.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, by the way, for taking this agenda item out of order. I promise to everyone in the room to be very brief. I have a very short 5-minute presentation to share with you today.
Ms. Day, before you begin, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The county requires that we see
I'm
you.
sorry.
And so if you could turn on your camera.
I thought I was on video. I thought I was on video. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Oh, here I am. Good morning. Can you see me and hear me okay?
I do see you. I think you're frozen for a second.
That may happen. I'll do my best with video and the internet connection that I have. I'm not sure why it turned off on me, maybe because it was freezing. But good morning. My name is Nikki Day with the law firm Gray Robinson. I'm board certified in city, county, and local government law, and as mentioned, I represent Regency Centers LP, which has owned and operated the shopping center at issue since 1984. And as staff mentioned today, we're here to correct certain errors in the administrative determination of the non-conforming characteristics of land as it relates to the screening requirements to be applied to the property for solid waste receptacles and mechanical equipment. Now, as staff pointed out, it's undisputed that we all agree the screening standards that apply were those that were in effect at the time the buildings were constructed from 1984 to 1986. That's what governs the property. The administration explicitly summarizes this conclusion on page 5 of the determination. So if I click to the next screen here, you have our request, which was accurately stated, and then they actually summarize that it is parcels, that it is the 1984 standards which govern this parcel, and the summary conclusions on page 5. But then back on page 1, the determination erroneously concludes that, and I just want to be clear, we are not appealing the determination with the summary determination that it is the 1984-1986 standards that govern the property. However, the request that the determination goes on to erroneously conclude that it is not approved, and this is what we are appealing and why it should be corrected for 2 reasons. First, it's really the only logical and internally consistent conclusion with the summary to conclude that this is a non-conforming standard. Condition number 13, which was established in 1984, is a non-conforming standard that applies to the property. Additionally, this is directly supported by the classification of nonconformities in section 110302 of the Land Development Code. Non-conforming characteristics of land include site development standards, and that's exactly what we're dealing with here. Site development standards that were in effect the time the buildings were constructed between 1984 and 1986. Therefore, that is why we're respectfully requesting that you exercise your authority under the section cited by staff to find the conclusion in error and correct the determination to approve the non-conforming characteristics of land. There are other flaws in the determination which we point out in our written papers on appeal. The most glaring additional error is the due process violation to include determinations as to parcel E and F, which are not owned, operated, maintained, or have any affiliation with my client. But that's not the driving, the driving issue is the ultimate conclusion does not match the summary findings. We tried very hard to understand the basis for the conflicting conclusions several times, and the best that I can glean is similar to how it was presented this morning. Whether or not the standards that existed at the time are presently in violation is a determination to be made by a different board under a different avenue of due process, not to be made summarily as to what the appropriate standards and site conditions are that apply to this property. And the best that I've been able to glean from my discussions with both the Hillsborough County Attorney's Office and staff is that the non-approval was based on an attempt to impose what are essentially present-day screening requirements on the property. But that's the very scenario that these classifications were meant to prevent, so that a property that is undisputed, that it was fully permitted when it was constructed, site planned, continuously owned and operated for over 40 years, and it should now not be subject to overly burdensome present-day site development standards. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have or prepare any briefs or proposed orders approving the non-conforming characteristics of land. Thank you again for taking my item out of order this morning.
You're welcome. Thank you. I do have several questions for you. You have
I'll
agreed.
take down my.
Thank you. You've agreed that condition number 13 applies to the your client's property. Is that correct?
Correct. That's actually in the original request. That's in the original request. We said it's condition number 13 that applies to the property, not LDC 060606, the present day standards.
So let's just start from the beginning. So this all came to light because your client was provided or served a code enforcement citation for not having the dumpsters that are on their property screened from view. Is that accurate?
It was originally cited last year under LDC 060606, and it imposed those present-day screening requirements as it relates to opacity, materials, et cetera.
Okay.
Yes.
And
importantly, in this configuration of the shopping center, I'm so sorry, but the areas of I would say alleged violation at this point, because my client's not been found to be in violation of any site plan standard throughout the 40 years it's operated, is I'm sorry. I feel like I interrupted you, so please go ahead.
No, I was just letting you finish your sentence, and then I'll continue my questioning. Go ahead, finish your sentence.
Is that the standards and materials that are being applied, as well as the vantage point of what is visible from public view. So Lake Cathy Drive was not developed. Essentially, the public didn't move in behind the shopping center until the early 2000s. And now that is the public vantage point that is being cited. And I don't think that's an issue for the hearing officer to take up. It may be an issue for the code enforcement board or another body to take up. But I think the important part is that the standards that applied in 1984 to 1986 are what applied to the property.
Okay, so let's go back to the originally approved condition number 13 that is applicable, or was applicable to your client's property. And it is, as you've said, the exact condition reads, all dumpsters and mechanical equipment shall be screened from public view. And I believe that is the key phrase in this decision, public view. And then subsequent to that, that condition was removed as a part of a modification that was filed on behalf of your client in a personal appearance application, I believe, from '93, that as a because it's a standard in the Land Development Code to screen dumpsters from public view, that the staff routinely will eliminate those conditions because it's duplicative of what's already required in the Land Development Code. Do you agree with that?
I think that portion that you're reciting from is applicable to parcel F. That is not applicable to my client's property.
And why do you say that?
Because my client didn't own those, that was previously sold and that's in the initial request, that we did not own the property at that time, was not part of the removal, and that's also consistent with the summary that staff gave, which is that is the subject, the shopping center parcel and parcel E are subject to the 1984 standards, pre-1993 adjustments and amendments, and it's actually parcel F that was subject to the removal of those conditions, and then I guess by the analysis that you just gave, triggering some kind of present-day standards. But again, the issue with that is not my client's property. That property owner's not been given notice or due process. I don't represent them. I'm here to talk about the conclusion that was given as to the subject parcel, the shopping center parcel, which staff seems to agree is the 1984 standards, not subject to the 1993 revisions.
Okay. So, but the dumpsters at issue are on your client's property, correct?
Correct, and then the other, if you're pointing out too the differences in, or potential differences, I'll say, in standards that could have existed in the 80s compared to now, there's also, no mention of the recycling facilities, which actually Developmental Services brought up in one of my discussions with them, but that's another material difference. But yes, I don't think that my client's disputing. They've been a continuously operating shopping center since day one, and have had, as you mentioned, the dumpsters and mechanical equipment on its property.
And you agree that that original condition, number 13, required that those dumpsters and mechanical equipment to be screened from public view?
As those standards existed at that time, yes.
Okay.
That's what our position was and what we applied for. So really, in reading the summary, I thought it was going to be a straightforward answer, because what we're really talking about is approval of the standards that apply, not fast forwarding to both somehow confirm, figure out the standards that apply and then fast forward to saying they don't apply because they think my client's in violation. That's a different board, a different body that makes those kinds of determinations. This request was, and at the time, we were cited under, like I mentioned, the present day LDC 060606 requirements, which specify certain levels of opacity that is not clear to have existed in the 80s, certain materials, dictating what kind of materials can be used. And that certainly, we have not been able to find any standards that relate to that from the 1984 approvals. So those details, I think, can still be worked out, and my client is not against doing voluntary compliance here. The aim of this entire process was to clarify the standards that apply to the property, and we thought we were on the same page. And I think that the conclusion, which doesn't match the summary, is a clear error that can easily be corrected so that we can move forward.
Let me ask you one final question. I'm going to move on. The personal appearance in '93, which removed that condition and because of what staff states in their findings that the original zoning doesn't, those conditions sometimes are cleaned up to reflect requirements in the Land Development Code. Would you agree that a personal appearance application is not a standalone zoning, but rather modifies the existing zoning from 1983?
I'm not sure that I agree with that. I can look at it and, like I mentioned, brief it for you if you'd like, subsequent to, making your decision.
No, I don't think that's necessary, but thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't have any other questions at this time. I appreciate your presentation. All right, Ms.
I
Marshall.
truly appreciate you and Colleen for taking me out of order this morning. Thank you all.
You're welcome.
I need your address for the record, please.
Ms. Day, could you give us your address for the record, please?
It looks like she's hopped off the call.
Okay. All right. Ms. Marshall. Okay. Ms. Day, I'm sure you're still listening, so we're going to come back to you in a minute just to get your address for the record, but I'm going to ask the staff a couple of questions, and then we'll come back to you. Ms. Marshall, let me go back to the question I just asked the representative, which is, as I understand it, the condition 13 required the dumpster to be screened from public view, correct?
Yes.
All right. And then the personal appearance application from 1993 modifies that original rezoning, that 1983 zoning. It's not
Correct.
in isolation. It all relates back to the original zoning from 1983.
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me, that's all I needed. So, Ms. Day, are you back? Can we get your address for the record, please?
She is not on the call.
Completely. She's dropped off?
Correct.
All right. Allison, what do you need?
We'll research it.
Okay. All right. There's certainly documents in the file of what she filed, and so we can do that. Ms. Lunder, you agree? Okay. All right. All right. Ms. Marshall, anything else before we close this?
Nothing further.
Okay. Then with that, we will close appeal. Hold on just one second. Appeal 25-0666, and we'll go back to the first item on the agenda.
Today's agenda, we have no vested rights, fee waivers, remands, or reconsideration requests, which brings us to Section F, Site Development Variance Requests. Item F1, Variance 25-1034. The applicant is Dennis G. Mason. The request is a variance to encroach into the wetland setback. Staff findings will be presented by Wayne Doyen.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Wayne Doyen, Development Services. This is variance request 25-1034. Request summary, the applicant is requesting a variance from the 30-foot wetland conservation area setback requirement. Section 4.01.07, point B, point 4 of the Land Development Code. The applicant's specific request as shown on the site plan submitted on 6/30/2025 is to allow for encroachment for a concrete ramp to be within the 30-foot wetland conservation area setback. Requested variance LDC section 4.01.07, point B, point 4, LDC requirement, no filling, excavating, or placement of permanent structures or other impervious surfaces shall be allowed within a 30-foot wetland conservation area setback. Variance 6.8-foot max encroachment for a concrete ramp in the wetland conservation area setback, and resulting in a 23.2-foot remaining setback. No mitigation plantings required.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
You give us your name and address to start.
Dennis G. Mason, 1913 Dover Road and Jadon Road in Dover.
Thank you so much. Just give us a little bit about the request for your variance.
Pardon me?
If you could just explain the request for your variance.
We built a house over a stem wall for a home, and the back of the home ended up being 2 block high, and because they made us move the house over for the wetland setback, the front of the house has 7 block high, which I don't do steps very well and need something I can drive a scooter up to the front door. So when our contractor put in the sidewalks going up there. I think we're about 3 foot or so, 4 foot over into the setback. Out of the 60,000 square feet of setback around our house, they've turned my 5-acre parcel into probably a 1-acre island. We exceeded the setback by 159 square feet. So we're asking for a little assistance on this.
And it's for the ramp to the front door.
Correct.
Understood. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. Good? All right, thank you so much. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-1034 and go to the next case.
This brings us to section G, sign variance requests. Item G1, variance 25-1010. The applicant is David Oates. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Michelle Montalbano.
Good morning.
Michelle Montalbano, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to accommodate a proposed monument sign replacement for our existing church that is zoned RSC 6. The two variances are to LDC section 70300C3B, which reads, each residential support use will be permitted to have one ground sign not exceeding 32 square feet of aggregate sign area and not exceeding 8 feet in height. The aggregate sign area variance is for 73.2 square feet, which will result in a monument sign with an aggregate sign area of 105.2 square feet or 52.6 square feet per face. The height variance is for 2 feet and 3 inches, which will result in a monument sign with a total height of 10 feet and 3 inches. And the staff findings is just that this request was prompted by an active building permit.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning.
Give us your
My
name and
name is
address.
Scott Lancaster. You want my personal address or the church?
Whatever address you'd like to give.
Okay. The church address is 202 Flamingo Drive, Apollo Beach.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
We had some damage to our sign from the hurricane, and we'd like to replace it with a digital type sign, a newer sign. It's a little bit smaller, but we're in an area that I think we can only have like a 4-by-4 foot sign, and that's kind of small for a church. And we'd like to be able to we'd like the variance to be approved so that we could get a bigger sign, basically.
All right. I just had 2 quick questions. One is the existing sign, it's still there?
It's still there.
And approximately, if you know, the height and the square footage of what you currently have.
We currently have 114 square feet total for both sides, and it's around 10 feet,
Okay.
close to 10 feet.
All right. And the new sign will be in the generally the same location?
Exact same location.
Okay.
107 square feet, roughly, and it's about 10 foot 3 inches in height.
All right. So just a little bit taller. 3 inches. Okay, for the new. All right. Those were my only questions. Thank you so much. If you
Okay.
could please sign in with the clerk's office. Appreciate it. Unless you had anything else to say.
Can I have somebody else come up?
When I call for support,
Okay.
that'll be their chance. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Is there anyone that would like to speak in support? Please come forward. While he's coming up, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Madam Chair. My name is Tom Campbell. My address is 933 Meadow Glade Drive, Ruskin, Florida. I'm with the Greater South Shore Chamber of Commerce. One of the things about Sea Glass Church, last year, that little church of only 400 people, 400 members, deployed over 650 volunteers and helped over 800 families in the South Shore area during the disaster recovery. Since then, it has become a hub for community support. The digital sign is going to be very impactful because as things change on the fly, we can get information out. And from what I understand, at nighttime, that sign's going to be shut down anyway. It's already surrounded by commercial enterprise. It goes beyond the church into the residential area with the old post office, several salons, doctor's offices, and a shopping center directly behind us. So I understand the way that it was zoned. I think the zoning should take a look at the area and reassess the way that they have that turned out. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office. All right, seeing no one else in support, is there anyone in opposition to this request? All right, no one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Sir, are you good? One more in support. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak while this gentleman's coming up? All right, last time. Good morning. Could you give us your name and address, please?
Good morning. My name is Paul Cliff, and my address is 2106 Unity Village Drive in Ruskin, Florida. I would just like to say that as was put on the variance criteria response, although Seaglass Church is zoned as residential, unlike other non-residential properties in the vicinity, we desire more than just advertising space for our presence. The sign is an electronic messaging center, I think is the official way that it's referred to, would inform the neighborhood of services that we offer, not just who we are and our service times, but things like our food pantry, support for people with addictions, and also when there are emergencies, being able to tell people where they can find help and where they can apply for things. So it's a messaging center more than just a formal church sign. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming down. If you could please sign in the clerk's office. All right, just making sure. No one else in support? And we called for opposition, but I didn't see anyone. Want to give you another shot? All right. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, you have the last word, but you don't have to take it. You good? As the applicant? No more comments? Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-1010 and go to the next case.
Next item is item G2, variance 251123. The applicant is Samantha Phillips, Hillsborough County. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Sam Ball.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Sam Ball with Development Services. The applicant is requesting two variances, one to reduce the required setback and to increase the allowable aggregate area of a monument sign from 100 square feet to 182.22 square feet. LDC 7030C1C requires an 8-foot tall monument sign to have at least a 19-foot front setback. The applicant is requesting a 6-foot, 8.5-inch minimum setback reduction to allow the 8-foot sign to have a 12-foot, 3.5-inch setback. Section 730C2BI limits the proposed sign to 50 square feet per face and 100 square feet of aggregate sign area. The applicant is requesting a 41.1 square foot increase to the allowable sign area per face and an 82.2 square foot increase to the aggregate area to allow monument sign with 91.1 square feet per face and an aggregate sign area of 182.2 square feet. The lettering on, I'd like to note that the lettering that's shown on the sign is not going to be installed once the sign, so that square footage wasn't accounted for. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions.
No, just to recognize that you submitted a revised staff report just to correct a minor typographical error.
That is correct. The setback reduction was based on a 20-foot setback. There was some confusion, and it's really a 19-foot minimum setback, so that's where the 1-foot discrepancy came from.
Understood. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hi, morning. My name is Samantha Phillips. I'm the Planning and Development Manager with Hillsborough County Conservation and Environmental Lands. Conservation and
Address, please.
Oh, sorry. 3602 North US Highway 301.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Conservation Environmental Lands, in partnership with Veteran and Consumer Services, are making various park improvements to Veterans Memorial Park. Part of that includes a new front entrance sign to be an LED board. So we are requesting 2 variances for LDC Section 703 C1C, Section 703 C2BI. Like Sam said, we're requesting an increase on the maximum sign face copy area, along with a decrease to the minimum setback. We believe the property is unique in that there is a frontage road that is not standard. And then that, along with the increased sign, we're going to use the sign for not only Veterans Memorial Park projects, different events going on, we're also going to be using it for critical safety messaging in partnership with Hillsborough County Emergency Services and Emergency Management as well. We haven't had any negative feedback. We did the public notice. We simply had one person call that wanted to know more about it, and no other negative files other than that.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it if you could please sign in. All right, we'll call for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to the request? All right, Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right,
Thank you.
ma'am, you have the last word, if you'd like it. All right, then we'll close variance 25-1123 and go to the next case.
This brings us to Section H, variance request. Item H1, variance 250563. The applicant is Manuel A. Allegia. The request is a variance to accessory dwelling requirements. Staff findings will be presented by James Baker.
Good morning.
Good morning, James Baker Development Services. The property is on the corner lot with 2 front yards and 2 side yards. The applicant is requesting variance to the side yard setbacks on the north and east sides for an accessory dwelling located at 102 Goldenwood in Brandon. The LDC sections is 611.02E is an echo and 6.01.01. This will apply to both variances. The first one is for accessory dwelling shall meet principal building setbacks. A 7.5-foot side yard setback is required in the RSC 6 district. The variance for 11 inches. The result would be 6-foot 7-inch side yard setback for an accessory dwelling to the north. As for the second request, same for the accessory dwelling shall meet principal building setbacks of a 7.5-foot side yard setback required in the RSC 6 district. For this variance, it's for 3 feet 6 inches with a 4-foot side yard setback for an accessory dwelling to the east.
Thank you, sir. Is the applicant here? Is the applicant here for variance 25-0563? Yes, sir. Come forward. Don't be shy. Good morning.
Hi, my name is Manuel Aliaga. We live in 102 Golden Avenue, Brandon, Florida, 33511. So we bought the property at the end of December 2020, and currently we got a shed.
Face up. Just turn it over.
Face up? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There you go.
So we...
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. So when we bought the house, this is the site plan, and this is the shed was original there. So we are now construction person who know all the requirements for do new construction. Whatever. So we were thinking last year when we started the construction to extending the property 16 feet, and we were some complaint about it, so we got to go the process to variance, what I say. So And original, let me show something else. So originally, this is the shed we were talking about. So this is original shed. And when we were the construction, so this is the front, whatever. And so we do extension for the inside the property on the backyard, not against my neighbor. So this is the current extension we built. So we stopped to do everything until the approval. So when we fill it out the application, we will just submit the application for variance, we are required to fill it out the form in page 10, and we contact the Mr. Doyon Wine, the Supervisor of Natural Resource Protection Enforcement, and he stated, I do not believe you need anything from the variance. I only handle variance that need to enroach wetland setback. So it's not clear, of course. What I figured was the plan. So the separation for the north property was 7.5 feet, and the east was 5 feet. So as what I just remarked, we are not specialists in this thing, so we realize we affect the setback to the county property after we submit all these equations. So I just want to, Senor, to reconsider, because we do some expenses to do this kind of project, because our family is growing, and we try to do, convert this, the shed to the living property. And if I is not continue this process to construction, we will affect economically, and we lose everything. So yeah. I request that consider to change.
Sorry to interrupt. I apologize. Let me ask you a couple questions, just to make sure I understand the sequence of events. Did you pull a building permit before you started the renovations?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you.
That's a violation. I
understand. And so code enforcement cited you for that construction without a permit?
Right.
Okay. And so then you went in to pull the building permit and realized that you were encroaching into the setback?
Correct.
I understand. Okay. Do you know how this all came to light, how this came to code enforcement's attention?
Say again?
Do you know how code enforcement found out you were building without a permit?
What I see, because it's a public record, when I just came to this building, they say there was somebody make a complaint.
Yeah, okay.
So I realized when the inspector put a sign, he said, you gotta violate the blah, blah, blah. So
when you mailed out the notices to your neighbors for this hearing, did you hear anything back?
No. So no one complained. I sent all the form was required for this, for the 24 properties around the property, and I never heard something against. So.
All right, that was my only question. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
Thank you.
If you'd like to submit those documents into the record, you're more than welcome to. All right, so now we'll call for anyone who would like to speak in favor, anyone in support of this application. Seeing no one, anyone in opposition that would like to speak? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right. Sir, we're going to close the hearing. Do you have anything you'd like to add before I move on? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Then we'll close variance 25-0563 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H2, variance 250972. The applicant is Steve Antonori. The request is a variance to accessory structure requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Tanya Chapella.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tanya Chapella, Development Services. The applicant is requesting variances to the accessory structure height and to the maximum building coverage of the required rear yard setback. It is to accommodate 2 accessory structures on the subject property. So the first variance is in regards to section 61104B, where accessory structures shall not exceed 15 feet in height, except where the accessory structure meets the primary structure setback of the district. So the result will be 22-foot tall accessory structure. Then the second one is for the section C3 of this same section 61104, where it states that accessory structures may occupy required rear yards, provided that such structures do not occupy more than 20% of the required rear yard and are not closer than 3 feet to any rear lot line. So in this case, the variance is 41%, and the result is 61% rear yard building coverage. And this concludes my presentation.
Mr. Pello, let me just ask you a question. I was looking at the site plan and the narrative to your staff report. It says there's 2 accessory structures. Is that correct, or is there only 1?
Well, so the intent of the applicant is for 1 building. That's the biggest one. And then, but there was my understanding that there's already 1 existing structure on the site.
And is that structure subject to the variance, or is that in compliance?
I would need to ask the applicant, because I believe it is the structure to the east, the little one, it is under 15 feet in height, but I do not know for sure.
Okay, all right, we'll ask them. Thank you so much,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Christopher Berg, the Law Office of Phelps Dunbar, here on behalf of the applicant. I've been sworn. Address is 100 South Ashley Drive, Suite 2000, Tampa, Florida. I have a presentation. Great. Wonderful. Good morning. I appreciate your time this morning. Again, here on behalf of the applicant, Steve Antonori. Applicant respectfully requests a variance for the existing accessory structure, the larger one. Sure. The existing accessory structure, the larger one on the property. It is my understanding that the smaller one does meet the dimensional requirements as is, but we can get you the actual square footage of
I
that.
just am interested as to whether the variance only pertains to this new accessory structure.
So we were asked late in the application process about the second structure. We would like the variance to apply to both structures. As I'll get into later in the information, the reason for the request of the variance was to bring the larger structure into compliance. In applying for a building permit, we were told we needed to get a variance for this
But they
structure.
are not, the 2 structures are not attached and don't intend to be, is that correct?
No, they are not attached.
Okay, so what I have is a height variance and a maximum percentage that a structure can occupy the rear yard.
Correct.
And so am I correct that those 2 requests only apply to the large new?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So we respectfully request the variance for the larger structure at 18204 Keystone Grove. We believe these standards or the request conforms with section 11.04.02 of the code. Additionally, we believe granting the variance serves the underlying purpose of the land development code, is in line with the character of the neighborhood, and is a reasonable use of the land. So I'm going to get right into the variance criteria and provide a little bit of context later. I've already gotten into it, as you heard. So the property is part of Keystone Grove Lakes, which was platted in 1979. I'll submit this presentation to be part of the record, but as you can see from the plat, all the lots are irregularly shaped, and applicant's lot, which is marked with the red star, is unique amongst the properties platted. It fans out towards the front and is elongated towards the back, and despite having, relatively long side lot lines, it is shorter than some of even smaller lots that are in the same neighborhood. So even the lot to the immediate left of it is 103 feet, while ours is 100. You'll see that these back lot lines are larger on some of the neighboring properties, which in turn leads to a larger required rear yard. Great. While applicant was not involved in the installation of the structure itself, which I'll touch upon later, if he had been, he would have noticed that others in the area have similar structures. I'll point out that 18203 Keystone Grove or Keystone Grove Boulevard in Odessa, they have a accessory structure, which I believe is a detached garage towards the rear, appears to be encroaching into the required rear yard. Similarly, 18124 Crawley Road, it's a 2-minute walk from the applicant's property. They have a detached garage, appears to be encroaching into the side setback, and that is visible from Crawley Road. Similarly, there is an accessory dwelling unit at 9512 Edding Road that's visible from the road. And lastly, there are a number of accessory structures, and while these lots are all under common ownership, it's effectively treated as one lot. So, but as you can see, there are a number of accessory structures that encroach on these lot lines here. Okay. So I think we're going to get into the heart of what I think the variance criteria look for, which is the impact on the neighbors, right? We think that the accessory structure where it is minimizes the impact on the neighboring properties and does not interfere with the rights of others. In its current location, the accessory structure is buffered by trees towards the back, and the primary structure and other trees on the property provide a visible buffer from Keystone Grove Boulevard. I would actually think that the fact that it's farther back is a good thing. It minimizes its impact on the neighboring properties and the road. Let me see if I can show you this. So this is the applicant's property as taken from the property appraiser's website. You'll see it in red here. As I was saying, you'll see this is the neighboring or the rearmost neighboring property. It sits far back, so it's not going to be impacted by it. If you were to zoom in, you could see trees towards the back. Similarly, you can see, again, long shape of the applicant's property, buffers it from Keystone Grove Road and sits it further back from these neighboring properties. I bring up this point because under 6.10101, we sit in the ASC 1 zoning district. If you look at the maximum height and the building coverage percentage, it's not applicable, right? So as long as we're in the setbacks, in an ideal situation, there would not be a maximum lot percentage coverage for buildings. Similarly, the height is maximum of 50% or 50 feet. I bring that up because if we were to move the accessory structure up on the property, which I think we could under the code by right, we could keep it as is, and I would argue that would have a greater impact on these neighboring lots. It'd bring it closer to these accessory structures or to these primary structures here and be visible from the road possibly. So I'll touch briefly on why I think the variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of the Land Development Code. You'll see from the intent, the statement of purpose, it's very much focused on the process of development, ensuring there's an equitable process. I would argue that even participating in the variance process fulfills that requirement. Similarly, with the request in line with the intent is couched with the goal that that we preserve public health, safety, comfort, and welfare, and aid in the harmonious and orderly development of unincorporated Hillsborough County. Again, the whole reason for the variance was trying to get an after-the-fact building permit. So Granting the variance will allow us to go through that process, get the permits, get the inspections in there, for contribute to the public safety of Hillsborough County by ensuring that it meets all the requested or all the required inspections. Again, I think it's in line with the comp plan. It's not affecting any future development. This area is pretty much built out. So I'll get a little bit into the background. So the practical difficulties, applicant purchased this property for his family, for his daughter, son-in-law, and grandchildren. Gives them their privacy and lets them pretty much use the property as they like. Applicant's family had the accessory structure installed and relied on a contractor to pull the correct permits and do the correct due diligence. That wasn't done. Applicant did not know of this until he received a code enforcement citation for an already built structure. We're trying to right the ship now and go through the correct process. I'll just say a little bit about the use. Applicant's family uses this in connection with other businesses. I believe there's an insurance business and a coding business and additional just storage uses. Yeah, like I said, we're trying to remedy the situation. Yep. Right. And I think granting this variance will allow us to try to achieve two things at once. Minimize the impact on applicants' families' lives and make sure we can get the correct permits and the correct inspections for this accessory structure. We can't change how things have happened before, but we're trying to right the ship now. All right. We respectfully request you grant the variance. We appreciate your time and thoughtful consideration, and I'll take any questions, or if you want to save them towards the end.
No, I have a couple questions now.
Sure.
In reading the backup to this, the narrative states that it calls the structure a pole barn.
Correct.
Is that it? But it's completely enclosed.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. All right. And then it says, and you just referred to this, the structure itself is used for office space for an insurance business, and then also for storage, for the storage of powder coating materials.
Correct.
As a second business. So that's the reason for it.
Yes.
Okay. And I wondered, the contractor that you cited that the property owner hired to build the structure didn't pull a permit, but it looks like that once the code enforcement violation was issued, that they went to another contractor to get the permits and so forth. And I wondered why they wouldn't go back to that original one to save fees and costs and things like that. Why did they go to another contractor to remedy it?
So I've never asked the applicant that question. I would imagine if they didn't believe that the first contractor followed the right process the first time, I don't think they would rely on them to do it the second.
Fair enough, fair enough. That was my only questions for now. Thank you so much. Don't forget to sign in, and you can submit your documents into the record.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go to, at this point, proponents. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in support? See no one. Anyone in opposition to this request? All right. How many people would like to speak? Raise your hands. Go ahead. So there's 5 in the room. Is that right? All right. Do we have anyone online that wants to speak in opposition? Sounds like no. Okay, so 5 people. If you could all come forward and line up, it speeds up the process. I appreciate it. And Allison, we'll do 3 minutes apiece. I assume you didn't have one speaker that you all want to speak. Is that correct? Okay, then 3 minutes apiece. Whoever would like to go first. If you could give us your name and address to start. Go ahead, sir. Come forward. Good morning.
Good morning. I have not been sworn in.
Okay. If there's anyone in the room that wants to speak for not only this case, but for any other agenda item, and you have not been sworn in, if you could please stand, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Go ahead. Thank you for letting me know.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Beth White, 17905 Burrell Road. On behalf of the Keystone Civic Association, we ask that you deny both variances in this application. This enormous 22-foot high structure in the backyard of a small residential community in Keystone is unpermitted, unregulated, and puts the safety of the neighboring homeowners at risk. The current occupant is using this structure as a machine shop of some sort, an active business. Anthony Torres is the occupant of this home at 18204 Keystone Grove Boulevard. The land use hearing officer relies on truthful testimony to ensure fair rulings. The land use hearing officer makes decisions based on facts. This application provides false and misleading information that can impact the outcome of your decision. Because of this variance should be denied. Affordable Building Products, referred to as the contractor in this application, did not build this structure. They were not hired to build this structure. The current occupant, owner, and attorneys who submitted this application knew that prior to submitting this variance request. The $78,500 estimate from the contractor showed in this application is simply that, an estimate. Anthony Torres purchased a prefab kit from Affordable Building Products the end of January 2024 for $20,000 to $20,295.21 and built the structure and enclosed it himself. Mr. Torres acted in the capacity of a contractor for this structure. You can purchase a prefab building on Amazon tomorrow. That doesn't mean Amazon is going to be responsible for building permits. It is the owner's responsibility to obtain permits and understand local regulations when purchasing a prefab building kit. It is the owner's responsibility to obtain an owner-builder building permit if they perform the work themselves. The neighbors watched Mr. Torres erect the structure. One neighbor contacted Hillsborough County on February 9th, 2024, 18 and a half months ago, when Mr. Torres was building this structure, resulting in a code compliance case that is still pending. Back in October of 2023, Mr. Torres actually submitted an application.
That's the 3 minutes. If any of your other parties would like to yield their additional time to you, I'll allow it for another. Can you wrap it up in another minute? And then you're welcome to submit your written comments to the record.
Back in October of 2023, Mr. Torres submitted an application with Hillsborough County for an as-built storage shed, but he never completed the process. If he had, he would have learned what size and setback was allowed, what permits and local regulations were required. This application should be denied, and I have additional letters of opposition with you.
You're welcome to submit them. Thank you for your time. Next, please. Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, panel of the board. My name is Frank Travaglio. I live at 18402 Keystone Grove Boulevard, Odessa. I listened to the beautiful picture that the attorney presented here this morning, but none of you people live there and know exactly what goes on. This building is as big as the house that they live in. He's running a business back there. These mud buggies come in here. He does repairs, grinding, loud music, all kinds of things that go on. It's a very narrow, snaky street that we live on, about 20 feet wide. They park trailers out there with these things on. They shouldn't be parked on the street. It presents a hazardous for emergency vehicles that go in here. And the point being is, it's residential. It's not to be running a business at the property. It deteriorates our property values. The neighbors don't like the loud music. It's not right. That's all I can say.
Thank you, sir, for coming
Thank you.
down. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. Next, please. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Sean Sullivan. I live at 18114 Crawley Road.
My property backs up to the property and structure. I submitted an email with some pictures that had been entered into the record. So you can see the oversized structure in the backyard. It's plenty viewable. There's not really many trees that obstruct the view of the building. And it's my concern as a construction supervisor that without the proper permitting and inspections that that the building could not have been erected correctly. I've actually built several of these in my trade, and oftentimes they require 2-foot deep monolithic footing to ensure that the building isn't going to take flight during high winds or hurricanes. And yeah, so that's our main concern, living so close. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for coming down. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Please sign in. Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Hi, my name is Mary Lozano.
There you go. Perfect.
Lozano, Lozano. I live at 10511 Hines Place, Odessa, Florida, 33556 in the Keystone Grove neighborhood. I'm going to refer to my notes, if I may.
All right.
I request that you deny this variance. The occupant of this home built a very large pole barn type structure with an after-the-fact permit, which is apparently non-conforming with code. It's also suspected that he's operating a mechanic shop in that structure. The Keystone Grove community is composed of 49 homes on fairly large lots, a half acre to an acre lot. The owners take pride in their lawns and their homes. They manicure their lawns and they're lush. The homes in the neighborhood are valued from about $700,000 to $1,200,000 within the neighborhood. The area around the neighborhood is comprised mainly of multi-million-dollar estates, lakefront on Keystone Lake. Often there are like off-road vehicles at the property at 18204 Keystone Grove Boulevard, as well as vehicles parked on the lawn. And while I know this is not a deed restriction hearing, we do have deed restrictions in that neighborhood. They're lax, but lawn parking is not permitted, nor is a business permitted to be conducted there. So I'm requesting that you deny this variance.
Thank you for coming down.
It just doesn't belong in that neighborhood.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. If you could please sign in.
I will.
Yes, sir. We have one more. Or you're good? All right. So anyone else to speak in opposition before we move on? All right. Seeing no one. Ms. Marshall, let's see. Let me ask you, in reading this and in light of the opposition testimony, I had a question about home-based businesses and their approval process. It appears in this zoning district a home-based business is a conditional use. And how is that applicable to this subject property?
So is a home-based business, they'd be subject to the standards in section 61148.
All right. And is that an administrative approval?
It is.
All right. And I am assuming that they have not gone through that process. Is that accurate?
I can double check. I
Okay.
don't believe so.
All right. So if they, would that seem, the whole reason, according to, and we'll go back to the applicant's representative when it's time for rebuttal, but it would seem that the structure is, according to their application, is used for a business, both insurance and materials for a powder coating business. Then would it not be appropriate that they would be required to obtain this conditional use before seeking a variance for the structure? Is that appropriate? We can ask Ms. Lundgren too. Process-wise, what would be?
So discussing with Johanna, the structure would be separate from the use. Typically, to have the structure in that location, the variance would process first, followed by the use.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that. Did you have any other comments before I move on from staff that you wanted to add? No. Okay. All right, thank you. And then, Ms. Lundgren, just final, before I go back to the applicant, there's some assertion in the applicant's narrative that it would be a financial hardship if this application, the variance, were not approved. And I just wanted, from a legal perspective, what weight financial expenditures weigh in on the decision for a variance?
Pursuant to the standards of the code, I think that is a consideration in the finding of hardship. However, it's not the only consideration. It may be subject to your consideration.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Then now we'll go back to the applicant, who has 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for rebuttal, and I appreciate citizenry coming and expressing their concerns. I wanted to address some of the concerns that were brought up. I think one of the main ones being safety and the lack of permits for safety. I mean, again, we're doing an after-the-fact permit. We need a variance in order to get that, to address those concerns. As far as the use, I submitted my narrative to my client for accuracy. To the extent that it's been used for anything other than powder coating and insurance is news to me. So I have to rely on the information that I've been given.
Have you been inside the structure?
I have not.
Okay.
As far as the noise from the music and all that, that should not weigh on the hearing master's determination. Similar with the cars. Those are separate code enforcement matters, and I think should be separate from this variance hearing. Similarly to the reduction in property value, that's speculation and not supported by competent substantial evidence. So we do not think you should consider that at this time. And again, I think one of the neighbors that spoke in opposition noted this is not a deed restriction hearing or anything having to do with a private homeowners association. So to the extent that there are deed restrictions, that should be handled by the homeowners association. We thank you for your time, and again, I'll just say that applicant is the owner of the property, and he does afford his family a degree of privacy to do what they want, and he did not realize that this structure had been installed until after the fact. We're trying to right the ship now, and we appreciate your time and
All right,
consideration.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0972 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H3, variance 250989. The applicant is Kevin Arbor. The request is to permitted projections into required yards. Staff findings will be presented by Logan McKay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Logan McKay, Development Services, for variance 250989. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow for a home generator to be located within the side yard setback on the eastern side of the existing home. Per LDC Section 60103I3, mechanical equipments may project 3 feet or no more than 50% into the required side yards, whichever is more restrictive. The side yard setbacks for this planned development is 5 feet. Therefore, the permitted projection is no more than 2.5 feet. The applicant is requesting a 1-foot variance to this requirement, resulting in a 3.5-foot setback or projection into the required side yard. Their findings are that we have a Hillsborough County building permit was issued for a 26 kilowatt generator in June of 2023. During the electrical inspection, it was discovered the generator projected further into the required side yard than permitted by the code, and the inspection was disapproved.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Kevin Arbor, 1216 Acapella Lane.
the variance for the equipment projection is why we're here, or why I'm here. And I assume you read everything that was in the packet, but basically we contracted with Generex to install this generator, obtain the permit for the installation of the generator, install the generator. This all happened in 2023, between June and August of 2023. Subsequent inspections, plumbing passed, electrical obviously didn't get the final on that because of the easement encroachment. And we pursued the remedies that we could through the electrical inspections office up to the chief of that department, inquired with the building officer for Hillsborough County, which brought us to this hearing here for the variance request, saying this is the only way we can get our electrical final. So the equipment's been installed, has been installed for essentially, definitely 2 years now. And obviously the use for, in case of power outages, what have you, just general keeping the inside of the house dehumidified and what have you. But we also have family visits, use the CPAP machines. Our father-in-law has moved in, obviously elderly, congestive heart failure and all that type of stuff. So we want to have use of the generator. We've tried to do everything we can to comply. As far as the projections into the easement, we have no choice with any equipment, be it pool, AC, anything. Just the lots are 60 foot and the houses being what they are, roughly 40 feet, we're going to project into the side yards. The community is does have an HOA. We went through that process, got approval there before we put the generator in, got their waiver of easement encroachment, whatever that's called. That was all submitted to the county. In essence, we went through the process, found out after it was installed of this easement encroachment or equipment projection encroachment into the easement problem, and we're at this point to get this variance such that we can get the electrical final and just move on.
Understand. Yeah, I have read all of the backup. I appreciate your presentation.
Assume so.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, it does.
All right, if you could please sign in. Thank you so much. All right, is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, do you have anything to add before I move on? No. Good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll close variance 25-0989 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H4, variance 25-1030. The applicant is RU Project Management. The request is a variance to lot development standards into accessory structure requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Logan McKay.
Morning.
Morning again. Logan McKay, Development Services for variance 25-1030. Applicant is requesting a variance to lot development standards and accessory structure standards. There's a number of variance requests. They are requesting a 11.8 foot variance to the front yard setback for the RSC 9 zoning district, a 3.3 foot variance to the side yard setback on the north side, 2.8 foot variance to the side yard setback on the south side, an additional 1.1 foot variance for an accessory structure setback, side yard accessory structure setback in the rear, a 2.7 foot variance to the rear yard setback for the accessory structure, and an increase of 2.54% to the 20% restriction for rear yard occupancy. During findings, we found that the property was non-conforming in a non-conforming lot review. NCL 25-1118 was performed on the property for lot width and acreage requirements and found the property to be legally non-conforming.
Just a quick question, just to confirm. There are 2 sheds or 1 in the back?
There is one structure as far as the site plan shows, but it does seem to be made up of 2 separate components.
But attached.
but attached. Yes.
Understood. Okay, that was it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Okay, how can I, okay, perfect. Good morning, Rui Londono. I'm the representative for the current owners for 6717 North Clearview Avenue. Okay, the general location for this property is north of Lambright, south of Minnehaha, west of Haim, and east of Del Mabry. The current property is located on a platted subdivision. This platted subdivision was, the initial lot was 25 feet wide by 107 plus 7.5 that got to be on the right of way. The property is located on the Lot 37 and part of the Lot 36. The total wide is 37.5. This is located on a zoning district that is RSC 9 zoning. The request minimum wide 50 feet. The planner explained that we want to do the process from the non-conforming lot review that was certified and approved. The lot right now is less than 5,000 square feet. That is 4,031. That is a certified legal non-conforming lot. The current owners are Juan Hernandez and Yalina. They bought this property on this year on January, the first week on the 8th of January 2025. They got the property with a zone structure that was already there, built without permits, some of them. When they was on the process to buy this property, the inspector, but the 4-point inspector, that is not the county inspector, they looked at one of the structure, the accessory structure was not safety, and they removed from the property. Okay, after this one, they built without permit a carport. That was when a court enforcement came in May of this year and have the complaint from the court enforcement. Now, according with the current survey, we have 3 structures. One is the carport that is located on the front of the yard. The screen porch that was built before this owner, that is on the south side of the property, that is a screening porch. They have remaining 2 structures, accessory structure on the rear that are storage, and these 3 are part of the variance that we are requesting today. The first 3 variances are in reference to the carport. We are requesting variance to the side yard, both sides of the carport, and the front yard. Per RSC 9 from the code, the front yard is requested to be 20-foot front yard and 5 yards on both sides. The first variance that we are requesting is to reduce 10.8 feet to allow to have 8.2 from the front yard. And on the north side, the side setback reduction that we are requesting is 3.3 to have a result for 1.7. And the variance number 3 is to reduce 3 foot from the 5 required to have 3 foot. The next structure that we are requesting to have these pictures showed on your left, the left side, the side yard setback that got to be in the final 1.7, the front yard that got to be 8.2, and the left side that got to be 3 foot setback. For the next structure, that is the screen porch that is located on the side that we are requesting to reduce 2.8 feet to obtain 2.2. The next structure is referring to the accessory structure that is located on the rear that have two stories that are attached. One of your questions was that one to the planner. They have two structures, accessory stories that are attached one to the other one. We are requesting for the land development code, they allowed to have the accessory structure without permit when they have less than 200 square feet, but they need to meet the requirement for the setbacks. This structure is not request to have a permit, but must to meet the setback requirement that is 3 feet from the property lines on the rear and east sides. We are requesting today to reduce the rear yard setback from 3 to 1.9, and on the side to reduce from 3 to 0.3. Also, the code requests that on the rear yard we can occupy the 20% from the rear yard. Know that this yard is only 37.5 wide, that the REC9 zoning, the minimum lot size 50, but this one is non-conforming lot that was certified with 37.5. We are requesting to increase the 20% for the occupancy for the rear yard from 20 to 22.54. Okay. That are the three structures. Actually, there are 4, but 2 are attached one to the other one. That's the request that we have today to the variances. If you have any question, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present this one. And if you have any question.
I do.
Okay.
You mentioned that the screen porch was existing when your client bought the property.
Correct.
It was the storage shed in the back also existing?
Correct. I have one. Okay, let me see. I have one. This one. This one was before this picture. This is an aerial photograph before. I take this one from the property appraiser view, all the records, and I found this one before January 2025. That's an aerial view, and you can see there that they have the rear. They have the 3 structures, accessory structure. One was removed because the inspector, the 4-point inspector, they have another structure that is already removed, and they have the screen porch on the south side that is there before 2025. I think that was, I was looking back, and I think that maybe was before 2020.
All right, that was my only question about the status of it. Otherwise, I understand the application.
Okay, thank you so
very
much.
If you could please sign in. All right, is there anyone that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one? Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Ms. Londano, anything you want to add before I close? All right, thank you. Then we'll close variance 25-1030 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H5, variance 25-1042. The applicant is David Lee Fry. The request is a variance to lot development standards and to accessory structure requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Michelle Montalbano.
Good morning, Michelle Montalbano, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to accommodate an existing accessory structure in the rear yard. The variance is to LEC Section 61104-6C3, which reads, accessory structures may occupy required rear yards provided that such structures do not occupy more than 20% of the required rear yard and are not closer to 3 feet to any rear lot property line. The variance is for 25%, which will result in a 45% rear yard building coverage for the accessory structure. Staff findings, the subject accessory structure is subject to a code compliance notice violation for construction of the structure without building permits.
Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Somebody's phone is up here.
Ms. Londano, did you leave your cell phone at the dais, at the desk? Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Richard Coson. Address is 330 Pauls Drive, Suite 100, Brandon, Florida, 33511. My client, David Fry, is here today. If you have any questions, he has been sworn in as well. Your Honor, excuse me, I apologize for that. This property address or the variance is for a request for at 204 Lentz Road in Brandon, Florida. It is zoned RSC4, and it is a future land use designation of R4. The property size is approximately 0.68 acres. Mr. Fry requests the variance in order to maintain the current development on the property that he owns that's located at 204 Lentz Road. Specifically, he is the owner of a company that installs screen enclosures around swimming pools. There is no manufacturing done on this location. It's all storage. So that's not that's been a question that's been raised. There's no manufacturing, anything other than on-site storage. In order to store his inventory, Mr. Fry constructed a storage barn on his property. In keeping with the current development standards in the neighborhood around the subject property, Mr. Fry set the structure back 3 feet from the eastern property line and 7 feet from the northern property line. You can see from this photo, and I have some photos that I will put into the record. The structure in question is right here. This is the east property line. This is the north property line here, and this tree line here is the west property line. You can see from the surrounding neighboring properties, there are structures that are within the setbacks from the neighboring properties in this location. That's why when Mr. Fry constructed the property, he thought he was constructing it in keeping with the norms and the standards in the neighborhood. He set the structure back 3 feet from the eastern property line and 7 feet back from the northern property line. And on the back, there is a overhang for a door. There's no stair. It's just it goes back into 4 feet to the property. So we were asking for a variance from those setbacks in order to maintain this property. Hillsborough County Code Compliance initiated case HC CMP 25-363 due to the construction of the accessory structure without first obtaining the required permits. In order to correct this inadvertence, Mr. Fry is first requesting a variance to the setback requirement so they can then go back and request an after-the-fact permit. The order to correct this variance, we are asking for a variance for the structure to occupy more than 20% of the property, up to 45%. So that's the two variances from the setbacks and from the total square footage. Mr. Fry is specifically seeking a variance for purposes of obtaining an after-the-fact permit for the code compliance case CMP 25-363. He needs that compliance first before he can, needs the variance before he can seek the permits. The criteria for variance, I'd like to address those briefly. These are also set forth out in the application, so that, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. The practical hardships and difficulties are unique and singular to the subject property because these surrounding properties were developed prior to reduction of the setbacks and that are applicable to the subject property. The little requirements of the Land Development Code would prevent the construction of a storage shed with similar setbacks and square footage. The variance, if allowed, will not substantially interfere with or injure the rights of others whose property would be affected by allowance because of their similar setbacks and construction in the neighborhood. The application fosters and preserves public health, safety, comfort, and welfare and aids in the harmonious, orderly, and progressive development of the general area of the subject property by permitting development that is consistent with and in keeping with the current long-term development patterns in the area. The The proposal does not negatively affect natural resources or public facilities and equitably permits development of the property in keeping with the development standards in the area. The construction of the structure was in keeping with the nature of the surrounding properties, as it sought to duplicate the existing setbacks in the area. And finally, the substantial justice will be done in granting the variance by permitting the continuation of a pattern of development of properties that are adjacent to and in the general area of the subject property. The public benefits of limiting required rear storage coverage is unnecessary with similar prior surrounding development. And substantial justice will be served by negating the need to reconstruct the development on the subject property. Mr. Fry is, if this is not successful, will get the property in compliance. We think that the property is keeping in with the development standards in the neighborhood and would be harmonious with the neighborhood. The cost of compliance are significant compared with the minimal setback and total development area setback changes. I also want to submit this photo to evidence. I also have other photos for you to consider. They all show the same property but from different vantage points. And if you have any questions of myself or Mr. Fry.
I do. If you could put
Okay.
your aerial photo back up, I'd appreciate it. First, can you, it's difficult to tell from the boundary survey that was submitted, what are the dimensions of this structure? It looks like 63 feet on one side, but I can't read what the dimension is on the width of it.
I can ask Mr. Fry because he can tell me the dimensions.
Okay, that would be helpful. Thank you.
It's a 63 by 40 if you count.
By 40, okay. So that is about 2,500 square feet, 2,520.
Approximately.
All right, and then the house in front, that's with the dark roof, is that correct?
No, that's an existing accessory structure that was on the property when Mr. Fry bought it. That property, or that structure is small and movable and can be, it is not violating any setbacks or anything else on the property.
Okay, so that's an accessory structure. Where is the home?
It'd be.
Sir, if you could come forward, cut to the chase. If you give us your name and address, please, before you reply.
Fry, 204 Lentz Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
David Fry, 204 Lentz Road. So if you see in the picture here, this is the house that we live in.
Okay.
This is a shed that we bought on
see.
the property when we bought the property. That's a shed that we bought on the property when we bought the property. The only thing we erected was this building. It's actually technically a pole barn with 2 shipping containers inside of it.
I see, okay.
And if you notice it, yes, the original photo I showed you was oriented one way, and this was just oriented 90 degrees the other way.
I see, that makes sense. Okay. And then my second question was, in reading your responses to the variance criteria review response, for number 1, your application says, surrounding properties were developed prior to the reduction in setbacks that are applicable to the subject property. What does that mean?
My understanding is that the properties that are next to the adjacent along the eastern and the northern side of the property are not in violation because those properties were there prior to the setbacks being in violation. So that's my understanding of it, and so that's the intent of that statement.
Okay, understood. All right, thank you. I believe that's all I had. Thank you very much. If you want to submit those documents into the record, if you could both sign in, I
Yes,
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I have multiple photos for you.
Thank you, but that's very helpful. I appreciate it. All right, we'll go to anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition to this request?
If I may add, we sent the notice out, and I had 2 individuals contact me. One was asking for information of what the process was, and I explained the variance, and the other was Mr. Fry's across the street neighbor who indicated he has no problems with it.
All right, thank you for that testimony. I appreciate it. All right, so we called for anyone that would like to speak in opposition. Seeing no one. Ms. Marshall, I'll ask my question that I asked on another case, which is if the home-based business is applicable to this.
So they would be subject to 61148 for home-based businesses.
All right, and that requires a separate administrative approval? Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, but unrelated to this structure variance?
Correct.
Understood. Thank you so much. All right, sir, you have the last word if you'd like it. All right, thank you very much. Then we'll close variance 25-1042 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H6, variance 25-1043. The applicant is Gregory Holzer. The request is a variance to fence requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Jared Fullen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a request to variance to allow an 8-foot tall fence on a corner lot along both side yards and one of the front yards to provide additional privacy for a proposed pool. So there are two variances with this request, one for the front yard and one for the side yards. Typically, fences are only allowed to be 4 feet in the front yard, so this is a variance of 4 feet. And along side yards, it is 6.
Okay, hang on just one second. You'll get your chance when I call you up next. Thank you. I appreciate that's okay. Go ahead, sir.
I'll show you on the map here.
Okay.
It's for front yard and the side yard. Side yard is 6 feet allowed. They're allowed, so this is 8 foot. I'll just show on the map real quick on the projector.
Thank you.
So you can see this is the street, and this is the street down here. Sorry. The green is where the fence is proposed. With corner lots, there's two frontages, and both of them are considered front yards, and the other sides are side yards. So we had to add that variance to this request to cover that side. Hope that makes sense.
So the entire fence is proposed to be 8 feet?
Correct.
Understood. All right, thank you. Does that complete your presentation?
Yes.
All right, sir, it's your turn. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
My name is Alan Reeves. Yes, my name is Alan Reeves, owner of 114 Locust Drive, Brandon 33511.
Thank you.
What he said is not true.
Just bring that to you real quick.
Yeah.
Yep. This moves, you can move it over.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's only the backyard that we're proposing an 8-foot fence.
All right, can you show me where
Yes.
it is, where it's 8 feet and where it's not? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to be on a microphone? Like, one person could hold it and the other person could speak if you want to handle it that way.
All righty, so my name is Gregory Holzer. My address is 3104 Fairleah Lane, Valrico, Florida, 33596.
Thank you so much.
So the fence is just going to be going from the rear corner of the house. It's not extending any along the sides of the house at all. It's just going from the rear corner of the house, going out. If you're looking at it, this is kind of looking at the back left from that would be the northeast side of the property there. You can't really see the back left corner of the house. It's right under his hand, but right there, it's only going to extend out towards the east direction 4 feet. There's still going to be a 16.2 foot space between the fence and the sidewalk. The easement there is 15 feet, so still being beyond that. And then it's just going to follow 16 feet away from that property line to the back corner, follow along the back line of the property, which will be the north boundary of the property, follow along the west boundary of the property, and then come over and terminate at the other rear corner of the house. So it doesn't extend up along the sides of the house or into the front yard at all.
So the fence I'm looking at in the graphic, hold that up just a little bit more. Yep, thank you. The
And I
fence
can
I'm
pull up a
looking at in
survey as well, but it's going to be tiny. It'll just be on my phone if we could zoom in on this.
we can't use your phone, but
Okay.
we can use graphics you draw on.
Okay.
So just for the record, the fence in the rear is 8 feet tall, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
It will be.
then,
Currently it's 6 feet tall, and that's what we're getting the variance for an 8-foot tall fence.
so the remainder of the fence, let me phrase it a different way. So Is the entire fence you're building 8 feet tall?
Yes, ma'am, correct.
Okay. Is there any other portion of a fence that is 6 or 4 feet?
Yes, ma'am. He does have a perimeter fence going around basically all the way around the sidewalk. That's a 4-foot tall fencing. It's like a foot inside of that, and that is denoted.
I think,
Oh, I'm sorry. So the 4-foot tall fence extends from where we're going to be terminating the 8-foot tall fence all the way at this will be the southwest corner. The 4-foot tall fence goes along the front, stays about a foot inside of the property line, and then goes all the way around this side, and it'll meet up all the way at this back corner of this.
is it accurate to say that everything in green is 8 feet tall?
Yes, ma'am, correct. Everything highlighted in green is the new installation of
All
the
right.
8-foot tall fence.
All right, I understand. You can take it down. Thank you. And if you want to submit those into the record, I don't know, Allison, are you able to duplicate those? Just one, yeah.
Yes, we are able to.
Perfect, thank you. All right, does that complete your presentation? Did you have
What's that?
anything, did you have anything you want to add before I move on?
Yeah, basically just the reasoning for the variance is he's getting a resort-style pool put in the backyard. As you can see, he's got multiple elevated levels with a rock waterfall and a jump from up there. The neighboring properties are 2 to 3 story properties. They also have lots that are somewhat elevated. So as it stands currently, the 6-foot tall fence, the whole, all the rockscapes and whatnot, that sticks over the 8-foot tall or the 6-foot tall fence. So the 8-foot tall fence is a matter of, privacy, security, and then liability. So no one walking by is going to see the fence or see the pool outside of the fence and want to jump in and possibly create a point of, injury and liability and whatnot. And these are some visuals from the neighboring house. Oh, sorry. This is right across the street, right across Ackerley Way. So this is looking into the pool area right there. That's the 4-foot tall fence that we were talking about going around the property. This next house is to the rear left corner of his house. Also, multiple level house, could see right over the 6-foot tall fence very, very easily. And this one is right behind him as well. Also, you could see even the RV park right there. The ground there is very elevated, so they could see very easily over the 6-foot tall fence. But basically, it's because it's a corner lot, we want as much privacy as we can to keep, ongoers, passerbys away from, out of sight, out of mind, no liability issues, people getting into the backyard unwarranted.
When you mailed out the adjacent property owner notices, did you hear back from anyone?
I actually got calls from 3 other people in the, neighborhood just asking what it was about. No one was in opposition. I actually ended up doing another job for another previous client that called asking what it was about. So no one seems to be in opposition of it at all. Everybody was looking forward to see the new project go up because we've done a lot of work over there.
All right, I didn't have any other questions, but thank you.
All right.
Absolutely. Just pull that microphone towards you.
Since we started this project, somebody put it online, and this is just a little side street. You would not believe how much traffic we've had, people stopping, asking when's the water park going to open. One guy even asked the workers how tall the fence was going to be, and that's a concern of mine. And so that's another major reason for the request for an 8-foot fence just in the back.
Understood. Thank you so much. If you could both sign in if you haven't already. All right, we'll call for anyone who would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to the request?
And if I could, this is the fence that we're going to be installing. It's going to be this is the fence to be installed. It's going to be a all metal fence, rust-proof, basically everything proof, fire-proof fencing. So it's not going to get deteriorated over time, and it'll be, a nice finished product for the duration of its lifetime.
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, we already called for opposition, so we'll go back to county staff. Anything further?
I want to clarify a couple things for the record.
Please.
So the reason that the front yard fence variance was included based on the survey, there is a provision that allows for a fence that's 6 foot in height to go into the required front yard that functions as a side yard on a corner lot, but that would only allow up to 6 feet in height. And so in this case, with an 8-foot fence, it wouldn't apply.
Right.
The required front setback in the zoning district is 25 feet. And the placement, I believe, is at 16 feet on the front yard along Ackerley Way. So that would be considered to be within the front yard. So if they're looking to have the 8-foot fence at that location, it would still need the front yard fence height.
Because they
as
would
well.
only be allowed a 4-foot fence under that circumstance? Or is this
Well,
the front functioning
it is
as
the
a
front
side?
that functions as a side, so they would be allowed 6 feet at the location that they have.
Okay, understood. All right, I believe that's it. Sir, did you have anything you wanted to add? Yep, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Right now, we have a 4-foot wrought iron fence in the front and on the sides. We don't plan on raising that fence height any.
Okay. All right, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-1043 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H7, variance 25-1045. The applicant is Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be provided by Jared Fallon.
Hello, Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a request for a variance to minimum lot area regulations for a property zone CN. This is a variance to section 6.01.03.n. This essentially requires minimum lots or lot areas to meet the minimum square footage allowed for that zoning. However, except where permitted in agricultural districts, the minimum area shall not include submerged land, conservation areas, or preservation areas. So essentially, this lot was created in 1997 by deed and did not go through the subdivision approval process through the county. They created a lot that was 7,841 square feet. However, a large portion of that property does include wetland area, so it doesn't meet the required minimum of 7,000 square feet of upland. So essentially, this variance is asking that to remove that requirement, or that restriction, I'd say, to that the lowlands cannot go towards the max minimum lot area. Some other findings that there is a telecommunication tower on the property that was permitted in 1997, and it's currently under subdivision review. But they just need to have this variance approved before they can move forward with that subdivision.
Just one quick question. Do you know how much upland there is in the parcel?
We do not. We do have a survey that shows the line where that, I can show it here, but we don't have the exact number of how much wetland is on there.
Okay. And the telecommunication tower was permitted in 1997 with this lot configuration. So they received a permit for the development.
Correct.
All right. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Yoni Wasser. With me present today is my colleague and co-counsel, Mr. Matt Newton. Our address is 101 East Kennedy Boulevard with the law firm of Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick. We have the pleasure of representing the property owner, SBA Properties Incorporated, the owner of real property at 4040 West Waters Avenue. As you can see outlined in red, the property we're dealing with is actually rather unique in that it's situated behind what we're going to refer to as a parent parcel, which is this large parcel that encompasses the subject property. This is a commercial strip mall that was built back in the late 70s. We'll discuss the history of the parcels in more detail. The parcel is also unique in the sense that it is accessible only via an easement that runs through the rear parking lot of this parent parcel. The upland portion of the subject property is actually all enclosed via fencing. We will be submitting those easement documents into the record for your review. And as staff mentioned, there is a significant portion of wetlands on the property that begin really in the southern portion of the subject parcel. The property is located in the CN zoning district, which features a minimum lot area requirement of 7,000 square feet. To the southwest and the southeast, the property is bordered by some residential zoning, but the property itself and the surrounding area is very much a commercial corridor. To give you a sense of the surroundings, this is the commercial strip mall located to the north. This is commercial property as well. To the southwest is a single-family residential neighborhood, and immediately to the south and southeast is a residential apartment complex. This is a street view of the subject parcel, where essentially this view would be from the perspective of that rear parking lot looking south at the subject property. You can see, as I mentioned, that the upland portion of the property is enclosed via a fence. The only structure on the property is that telecommunications tower that, as staff mentioned, was approved and permitted by the county back in 1997. And these improvements on the property are just associated with the operation of the telecommunications tower. So the reason for the variance request and the issue with the minimum lot area requirement has to do with a rather unique history of the subject parcel. Our property was actually historically part of this larger parent parcel, 027125, and the strip mall that is currently situated on the parent parcel was constructed back in the late 70s. This was approved as a legal non-conforming structure by the county in 2024. We have some records that summarize the history of the parent parcel that we'll be submitting into the record as well. In 1997, as staff mentioned, the subject parcel and the parent parcel were subdivided by way of deed. This was not done through the proper permitting subdivision process by the county, and therefore in 2023, the current property owner learned of this unapproved subdivision when they received a notice of violation. After receiving the notice, they promptly applied for subdivision approval, which resulted in us finding out about the current zoning issue, which is the minimum lot area requirement. So therefore, today, in conjunction with Project ID 6961, which is currently under review with the county, we're requesting a variance to section 6.01.03-N of the Land Development Code, which is the minimum lot area requirement. We're simply requesting that the wetland portion of the property be included in the counting of the minimum lot area requirement so that the property can satisfy the 7,000 square foot requirement. The parcel itself is 7,841 square feet, but again, we do have the presence of those wetlands. Along with the subdivision by way of deed, the county again did approve the construction of that telecommunications tower. We are not requesting at this time any changes to the development of the property, any variances associated with any improvements on the property. The variance is tied to the land itself. This report, which we'll be submitting, of course, outlines the presence of the wetlands. Here in yellow, you can see it portions out the lower half of the subject parcel and a good chunk of the land to the south of the subject property. The variance site plan sets forth the details of the property as well as the request here. Once again, the only request has to do with that minimum lot area requirement, nothing to do with the tower or development itself. We do believe that this request to satisfy the minimum lot area requirement is consistent with various provisions of the comprehensive plan. It will allow the property owner to continue to utilize the property in an economic fashion. It will efficiently utilize the land, very minimal impact or adverse impact to surrounding property owners. We're not aware of any opposition from surrounding property owners at this time. And absent a variance request, the property, because it's in that CN zoning district, will effectively be rendered unusable absent a PD rezoning. We believe a variance request is a more efficient and proportionate way to bring the property into compliance as opposed to going through the PD rezoning process. Really, this will maintain the status quo and allow the property owner to continue utilizing the property as a result of actions taken by prior property ownership that have resulted in the current hardship, the current lot lines, and the wetland issue. So at this time, we're happy to answer any questions, and we'll be submitting all of this for the record.
I think you've, I had some questions about how we got to this place, but I think your presentation explains that. I just want to clarify, your client did not subdivide the property back in 1997?
That is correct. This was all done by prior property ownership, both the subdivision and the permitting for the tower.
All right, and did you hear from any of the neighbors when you noticed them?
Not that we're aware of. No, we did not.
All right, those are my only 2 questions. Thank you, and don't forget to sign in. All right, we'll ask for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? See no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Sir, you have the last word if you'd like it.
We'll waive. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-1045. It's 11 o'clock, so I think this is a good place to take a break. We'll take a 5-minute break and come back at 11:05 to resume the hearing. right, welcome back to the August 25th, 2025 land use hearing. We're back from our short break, and we're going to resume with the special use applications. The order is the same for presentation, except for special uses, the applicant goes first and the staff goes second. So with that, Ms. Marshall, let's call the next case.
James Baker will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right, is the applicant here? Go ahead and come forward for us. Good morning.
My name is Simona Sarpa. I'm the owner of Sonia Napoli Trattoria and Pizzeria, located in 12913 North El Mabry Highway. We are a small Italian family-owned restaurant. We're offering authentic Italian food and Neapolitan-style pizza. We opened up the door last year in May. And we currently have a 2 COP offering beer and wine to our customers. And now we would like to upgrade to a 4 COP, offering some Italian cocktails, just, to full dining experience.
And you said the existing license you have is for beer and wine?
Yes, correct.
And have you had any complaints or anything as a part of that in your year? All right. Did you hear from any of the neighbors when you sent out your notices?
No, because we are located on the Lowe's Plaza, so there's no really neighbors. It's a plaza. It's a shopping center.
All right. Those are my only questions. Thank you for coming down. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office. Thank you so much. Development Services.
James Baker, Development Services. The applicant requests a 4 COP special use alcohol beverage permit to allow the sale of beer, wine, and liquors sale and consumption on and off the permitted premises, package sales. The wet zone is sought for the restaurant that has 1,513 square feet of indoor area and 717 square feet of outdoor area for a total area of 2,230 square feet. A distance separation waiver is sought for the restaurant based on there being numerous wet zone approvals with similar licenses within 1,000 square feet of the subject site. If this case is approved, the current alcohol beverage permit will be rescinded. That's SUB 12-002. The area is part of the Carrollwood neighborhood that sits within a prominent high-visibility commercial artery in an established suburban commercial zone with a mix of retail, dining, and service establishments anchored by shopping centers like Mission Bell and Village Center. Major arterial roads are North Dale Mabry Highway to the west and West Fletcher Avenue to the north. The proposed use as a restaurant with on-site alcohol beverage service is compatible with existing planned development zoning. Further, previously approved waivers and alcohol service permits that have been granted to comparable businesses in the vicinity indicate a clear precedent and community acceptance of alcohol serving uses in this corridor. The waiver does not involve any deviation from the underlying zoning standards, and alcohol service is an allowable ancillary use in this PD subject to special use approval. That's all I have.
Just to confirm on the record, the applicant mentioned they have an existing 2 COP.
They do.
And that would be rescinded if this were approved?
That's correct.
Therefore, there is an established one already operating.
That's right.
Thank you so much for that testimony. I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to the request? All right, Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Ma'am, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. Anything else? All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Then we'll close special use AB 25-0981 and go to the next case.
Next item is item I2, special use 251038. The applicant is Kay's Kitchen. The request is a special use 2 COPX alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Carolyn Peddle will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right, I understand the applicant is virtual. Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. If you could give us your name and address, please.
My name is Dixie Liberty. I'm at 200 Adams Avenue, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, 42240.
Go ahead.
Hi. Yes, my client is Kay's Kitchen, and they are requesting a 2COPX. And the inside of the area is 1196 square feet. The outside is 251, and the total is 1447 square feet. And she's located at 2802 East Barris Avenue in Lukes, 03579. Kay's Kitchen's requesting a 2COPX special use alcohol beverage permit waivers to allow the sale of consumption of beer, wine, and on the premises only. A distance separation waiver is sought for the proposed restaurant. Sorry. As a proposed wet zone area is within 1,000 feet or more of 3 similar alcohol beverages used, 500 feet of community use, and 250 for the resident. I have 3 waivers. The first one is for 500 feet for community use. The waiver's for 340. The resulting separation is 160. The proposed wet zone is located in an internal shopping center and does not face the church, which is located to the west. The proposed wet zoning is separated from the church by residential developed properties and private drive network place, serving the apartment complex. The second one is for residential on 250 feet. The waiver distance is 245, resulting separation of 5. The proposed wet zoning building or orientation towards the apartment complex. The uses are separated by the privacy fence and trees. The walking distance from the subject building entrance to the residential complex entrance exceeds 250 feet. The proposed wet zone will not have significant negative impact on the surrounding properties, residential. And the last one is for the more than 3 of a kind of 1,000 feet. There are 7. The proposed wet zoning is located in an establishment commercial area that's characterized by the presence of several restaurants servicing alcohol beverage. The proposed wet zoning should have no significant negative impacts on the surrounding properties. There is a wet zoning there now, and if approved, this 91-0035 needs to be rescinded. You have any questions?
I do. Just one quick one, Ms. Liberty. What is the current license on the property that's subject to that 91 permit?
That one there is a 2COP.
A 2COP. So this adds the X for this new license?
For them to have it on premises only.
Understood. All right. That was my only question. Thank you so much. Development Services. Good morning.
Good morning. Carolyn Peddle, Development Services. Again, this is SUAB 251038. Again, the applicant, Kay's Kitchen, requests a 2COPX special use alcohol beverage permit with waivers to allow the sale and consumption of wine and beer on the permitted premises only. Per LDC Section 61111D5A, the distance from the proposed structure to certain community uses shall be 500 feet. The applicant is requesting a 160-foot separation. Per Section 61111D5B, the distance from the proposed structure to residentially zoned properties shall be 250 feet. The applicant requests a 5-foot separation, and there should be no more than 3 similar alcohol beverage uses within 1,000 feet of the proposed alcohol beverage use. There are 7 existing approved alcohol beverage permits. The subject wet zone area is located in the shopping center on the north corner of East Barris and North 30th Street. The apartment complex that is surrounding the restaurant on the north and the western property lines is separated from the complex, from the shopping center by landscaping and privacy fence. The apartment complex does not have direct access to the shopping center, therefore those walking or driving would need to access the shopping center using the sidewalks and roadways. The Faith Life Church's property is separated by from the restaurant by the social leasing office and the amenity building for that apartment complex. Furthermore, the subject wet zone area has an existing 2COPX license approved SUAB 91-0035 with conditions. The approval of 91-0035 was for a billiards establishment, which expanded multiple units in the shopping center, including the subject unit. The approval was conditions that only 20% of the establishment would be used for the bar and eating area. Since the subject restaurant is a smaller portion of the original wet zone under 91-0035, the new request 25-1038 is required to encompass the entire restaurant. Staff finds a proposed 2 COPX alcohol beverage alcohol beverage permit to be approvable subject to the condition. Upon approval of SUAB 25-1038, the proportion of SUAB 91-0035 under the same legal description shall be rescinded. So I just wanted to clarify that the 91-0035 was a 2 COPX, but since it was conditioned that only 20% of the unit could be used for the alcohol beverage permit, that's why the new request was needed.
Oh, so it was an X, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll call for anyone in support. Anyone that would like to speak in support of this application? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to the request? No one. Ms. Marshall? Anything
Nothing
else?
further.
Ms. Liberty, you have the last word if you'd like it.
No, ma'am, that's it.
All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close special use AB 25-1038 and go to the last case.
Last item is item I3, special use 25-1055. The applicant is Cheers 7 Incorporated. The request is a special use 3PS alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. James Baker will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
I'm representing Cheers 7 Incorporation. My name is Mehboob Bhimji. Address is 12302, Unit B, Balm Riverview Road, Riverview, Florida. The proposed project involves opening a packaged liquor store in a neighborhood where there are currently no such stores within 5 miles radius. This business will operate strictly as a packaged liquor store, selling sealed, unopened bottle of liquor for off-premises consumption only. We will not be serving open alcohol on site, and therefore, there will be no consumption of alcohol at or around outside the store location. We are committed to full compliance with all state and county regulations and responsible sales practices. Our goal is to offer a convenient and controlled shopping option to local residents without disturbing the peace or quality of life in the area. Moreover, it will be more convenience to all the neighborhoods since there is no packaged liquor store within approximately 4 to 5 miles radius to this location, which costs 30 to 40 minutes drive to local people during the busy hours.
Does that complete your presentation?
I'm sorry?
Is that everything you wanted to say?
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office. If you'd like to submit any documents, you're welcome to submit them into the record. Thank you. Development Services.
James Baker, Development Services. The applicant requests a 3PS special use alcohol beverage permit to allow beer, wine, and liquor to be sold in sealed containers only for consumption off the permitted premises, which is package sales. Distance separation waivers are sought for the store as the proposed wet zone area is within 250 and 500 feet respectively of residential and community uses. The area is primarily residential with a mix of rural properties, single-family homes, and agricultural land. The area is located near U.S. Highway 301 that connects to downtown. Within a short drive, there are several parks and parks such as Alafaya River State Park and Bell Creek Nature Preserve. To reiterate what the applicant said, the business will operate strictly as a packaged liquor store selling sealed, unopened bottles of liquor for off-premises consumption only. It will not serve open alcohol on site, and there will be no consumption of alcohol either at or around the outside store location. Full compliance with all state and county regulations and responsible practices shall be adhered to. The subject site and neighboring property to the east have been zoned for commercial use since 1979 and serve as a commercial node on the southeast corner of Balm Riverview Road and Woodside Drive. The entrance to the store is located on the southwest side of the building, facing towards Balm Riverview Road, away from the closest community uses and residential uses. For these reasons discussed above, staff finds that the proposed wet zoning area does not pose significant impacts on surrounding land uses and necessity for specified distance requirements is negated.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? See no one. Anyone in opposition to the request? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Nothing further.
Sir, anything to add before I close? All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. And then with that, we'll close special use AB 251055 and adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for your time and testimony.